I'm Kim Kesti, Creative Director here at Fun Stamper's Journey, and I'm super happy to be joining you today. And whether it's you by yourself, you with a whole crowd of people, maybe you and your bestie are crafting today, but again, I'm very excited to join you wherever and whoever you are for the make and take portion of our brand new launch here at Fun Stamper's Journey called Easter Blessings. So much fun. We had a lot of fun just collaborating and bringing this whole launch to life for you. And I think a lot of the very, very best pieces are right here in your project kit. Now, if you did buy one of the project kits from us, you have access to this make and take right now. So again, welcome. The project kit I'm going to be showing you today is the Plus kit, but I am going to act like you actually haven't bought the Plus kit and maybe you don't have all the extra dies, but that's absolutely fine. Whether you have the Plus kit or the basic kit, really doesn't matter. This make and take is going to be perfect for no matter what bundle you ended up with. So again, let's take a look at the project kit. I'm going to do the unboxing just real quick for you. Isn't it fun to get all this new fun crafty stuff in the mail? I just love it. So first of all, you have your Easter Blessings catalog, which I'll probably be referring to in the actual live show, which, by the way, set the date for you, save the date I should say, for the actual live launch of the projects, which is February 15th. You probably might be watching this make and take a little bit ahead of time, who knows. But anyway, our actual live show is February 15th, and I'll be going through the catalog quite a bit, page by page, during that show. But you have your very own copy, so enjoy that. I'm going to set that aside. And now we have these fun things. Now this is something new that we've done this time for our kits. Instead of doing a booklet with all the card projects in it, we thought how fun would it be to create individual postcards, which are double-sided. Each one has 2 projects on it, and have these become a collectible. So we're going to hopefully continue to do this, and then you can keep these and maybe put them in one of our little storage totes or any way that you want, and you'll have instant access to fresh inspiration just as a collectible piece. I think that's so fun. So I'll be referring to these postcards as we go along with the project, so I'll keep those handy right here. You do have a fun little treat in your box. Isn't this awesome? This is our Hello Spring Embellishment Kit. Just love it. It has so many fun little pieces. We won't actually be using any of these on our projects today, but you will certainly see me use them again during that live show. So that'll be fun to see all the different ways we can use these guys. And I'm sure you'll come up with your own ways too. So the very first stamp set that we have on top here is Fancy Eggs. And this kit does have the coordinating die. If you don't have it, that's okay. We're going to be using that on, I think, our second make and take project today, so I'll set that aside. We're going to be using this one on the very first kit we work on today. This is called Faithfulness. Just love it. It's just really got that elegant look to it, and I love the sentiments. Very, very Easter oriented. Going to be perfect for all of your Easter projects. So I'll pull that one out right here. I'm going to use that in just a minute. The Carrot Treat Box die, again, is in the Plus kit. But even if you don't have the Plus kit, it'll be fun to watch me create fun things with this during the live show. And at the end of this make and take, that'll be the last project I do. So if you didn't get the Carrot Treat Box die, you may want to watch and follow along as we create these fun things. And who knows, you just might have to add that to your next order. So I'll keep that handy. Again, the Faithfulness die is in the Plus kit. I will be fussy cutting our images today, because I'm pretending that you don't have the die, but if you do, oh my gosh, you're going to be even faster at crafting than I am. And of course the 4 kits, we're going to need to pull them out. And again, the very first kit we're going to work on is this guy with the darling gingham pink background. So I'm going to keep that handy right here. The rest I'm going to set aside. And of course you have this fabulous pack of 12 by 12 paper at the bottom of your box. You don't need to break into this for our projects today because we've pre-cut everything for you. You can see a piece of it right there. But it is so fun to just kind of breeze through. I have a pack already open. Do you guys care if I just spend just a moment kind of going through the papers? I think it would be fun. I won't flip through all of them, but again, I'm going to leave this pack unopened because I'm going to want to use that later. But look at the fun prints in here. Got that darling little bird print. Oh, I love that Roy's getting in close. This darling flower. The little houses I love. Look at all the little fun elements. We've got kites and bikes and flowers and rainbows. So cute. This little garden print. Somebody told me it reminded them of McGregor's garden. That was one of our fans out there. Thank you. That is a very good representation of that one. Pretty little flowers, some more rainbows, some raindrops, and of course the side B's, which I think this is one of them. Have some really fun prints too. We've got a plaid, a stripe. There's the stripe again. This fun little golden sunshine print. Basic kites. There's the gingham we're going to be using in just a minute. And there's that plaid again. So, super fun. Just quickly wanted to run those through. I know that you have them in your box and you've probably already dug into them. I'll set those back there. Super fun. I can't wait to play with all those prints. So again, the very first things we're going to need for the make and take this morning is this kit and your faithfulness die. And you can have your little card handy if you'd like. This is the card project we're working on first. It's called Joy and Happiness. And so if you want to pull that card out and just have it for a quick reference, it has your short list of supplies here. Most everything else is included for you. And then we've got some directions. But of course, if you're following along with me, you don't even need the directions because you're going to just walk through it with me. I feel like I'm crafting with you. That's so much fun. So I'm opening my brand new stamp set. Love it. So the stamp sets come on this amazing backer board. Those of you who are new to Fun Stampers Journey may not be familiar with this because it is kind of a unique packaging. We love this nice sturdy backer board, and what we do is we peel off our rubber stamps from here. Now you can keep all the rubber that goes around it if you like. I kind of like to do that. Eventually I might just pull my stamps out. But this clings very nicely to the backer board, and this is how I store my stamps, with the stamps adhered to the backer, and then they just sit in one of my storage containers. I might show you that later. And then this little clear view sheet that comes with it, I keep those because I use them for fun little palettes and different messy inky techniques. So definitely keep those and recycle those. But now we've got this great stamp set. So let's get started. I'm going to grab my stamp set here and get a few of my stamps on a block. I'm going to get Mr. Bunny here. He's so cute. Does he remind you of a chocolate bunny? Kind of reminds me of a chocolate bunny. I love his little profile. And then we're going to grab the sentiment. I might as well grab that out while I'm at it. And you can see while I'm taking the stamps away from this rubber, you don't have to keep this part, but they nestle back in there pretty easy to store them. So it's up to you if you want to keep that guy or not. So I'm going to put that on a block there. And I think that's the only two we need right now. I'll keep that handy. And then grab your little kit here. Aren't these kits lovely? We have Karina in charge of our kitting, and she has a wonderful team of helpers. They always do such a great job. So you've got all these little bits and pieces. Don't lose anything. Keep that bag and recycle that. This is one of the first projects we're going to be working on, the fun little pocket that goes in the front of the card. If you have never seen our note pocket there, I think you're going to love it. We've got 2 exact pieces of whipped cream panels. Karina does this oftentimes, even though they don't necessarily have to be the same size. She does it so you won't accidentally stamp on the wrong one. Isn't that clever? So we have 2 identical pieces of whipped cream. We'll lay those aside. And then you've got your extra large piece. So kind of keep this for your mat. Don't stamp on this big piece, right? You guys got it? So I'll kind of quarantine that so I don't accidentally stamp on it. And then here's your pattern paper. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Just to get started so I won't accidentally stamp on that big piece, it's kind of a good idea just to adhere this right on the mat. And you'll see that our paper is double-sided. Just going to add a little of our adhesive here. You can use any adhesive you like. Some people have the white liner tape, and that's excellent too. But whatever your adhesive of choice is, just go ahead and center that panel right on your whipped cream. There. Good. Now I know I won't stamp on it. I'll set that aside. And your card base, we actually can probably fold that real quick too. I'm going to grab my crease tool and set that aside too. So it's kind of this basic card prepping is kind of out of the way. I'm going to gently crease with my finger and then come in with my crease tool and give it a nice sharp crease. So there's your card base. I'm not going to adhere these together. Again, I'm just going to kind of set them aside. Okay, so let's grab this pocket. This again is a really fun one, and it's got score lines already on it. Yeah, I think we can catch them on the camera. Awesome job, Roy. By the way, I should introduce Roy, who's out here helping with me. He's like, really? Me? Roy, can you show yourself and give us a little hi?
Hello, I'm
Yay! So Roy is always back here in the video studio with me, of course, and he is filming these make and takes. Awesome job as usual, Roy. Okay, so you can also use your crease tool to crease these little flaps on the two sides of the pocket. Sometimes I like to kind of bend them the wrong way and then fold them in the right way, and that just gives them a really nice extra crease. Now this one, well, let's do the last one before I continue on. I want to get ahead of myself. Again, sometimes folding it the wrong way helps me get that crease going. And then I use my crease tool. Okay, so this pocket is meant to have a little card or something on the inside. So it does have this tiny extra little piece of whipped cream from this flap that's showing. Maybe if I hold it this way, you guys can see it better. So see how it has that extra little piece of cardstock showing? It wouldn't be an issue or a problem if you were putting a card inside. But since we're not necessarily going to have a card inside, I like to trim away just a little bit of that flap. So I'm just going to grab my little detail shears here, and I'm just going to trim enough away. There'll still be plenty to adhere, but just trim a little bit away so it doesn't show inside my window. Kind of check that. Maybe I'll just do a little bit more right here. Again, that flap is quite generous, so you'll have plenty to glue. So see now when I fold it, the little edge of the flap doesn't show. If it doesn't bother you, it's no big deal, but for me, I'm like, oh, I just want it to be really nice and neat inside there. Now, before we start gluing this pocket, we're going to add a little bit of color inside, because if you look at the picture of your finished card, you can see that it's got just a nice little blue glow back here, and that's inside the pocket. So let's do that next. I'm going to grab one of my fusion sponges. You can use a dauber if you have it. You can even go directly with the ink to the paper, but I think using a sponge or a dauber is going to give you the best effect. And because I'm kind of thrifty, guess what I do? I cut these sponges usually for sure in half and sometimes even in quarters. This time I'm going to cut this in quarters. Super easy to do with our nice big shears, our pro shears. So now I can use many different inks with these different pieces of sponge. First one I'm going to want to use for the background is Pool Play. That was on your supply list there. So now I can just grab a piece of sponge, which is quite easy to hold now. And I'll still want to use the rounded part of the sponge because I just want a really soft glow back here on my card panel. So I'll just dab it into my ink pad. And it's okay if it's quite light to start with because you can just add more and more layers. It might take a second for some of that ink to soak into the sponge. So you can see some colors starting. I really love the fusion sponges. They're particularly made to be really great with our ink. And it doesn't soak in the sponge too much, but it just gives you that nice smooth finish. It doesn't give it streaks or globs or, you know, too much ink. I think that's what I love about it. So again, take your time, kind of play with your little glow here. It's just supposed to be a little blue sky. You can close your little pocket and kind of see, you know, oh, is that enough blue? Is it, maybe I need a little bit more up in this corner. So again, just kind of play around with it, take your time. Give your buddy a nice blue background to rest against. I'm pretty happy with that. It doesn't have to be so low. You can go a little bit lower than you want, but we are going to be attaching some grass here, so it's not going to show so much. So if your glow looks something like that, I think you have done an amazing job. Yay. Okay, I can put my Pool Play aside. Now again, before we close the pocket, we're going to want to adhere your grass. So if you go ahead and look at some of these cute little bits and pieces that came with your card kit, you'll see that you have a little strip of grass. And this is from one of our brand new dies called the Sweet Home Accents. And we'll definitely be having fun with that die during our live show. So you can see that this grass is a little bit too long for the inside of this pocket. So just kind of pick what's your favorite little patch of grass. I might kind of justify it over here and clip mine right there. So cute. It's actually kind of cute on the outside even, so if you want to, you can adhere it there. But I did adhere mine on the inside And there is kind of a smooth side of the die cut. I don't know, maybe Roy can get in here really close. We'll see. He's got this fancy zoom on this camera. Isn't this fun? So your die does have a slight rounded edge, which I call the right side of the die. Whereas if you look at the back, it's a little rougher. Do you see that? You know, it doesn't 100% matter, but I do kind of like the smooth side showing. So I'm going to go ahead and flip that over so I make sure that the smooth side is facing the front of my pocket. Does that make sense? I hope so. What's great about these make and take videos is if I work too fast or if you need a little break, you can just pause the video anytime you want and come right back to me when you're ready. So I just put some of our regular craft glue on the envelope. I love using our craft glue for any kind of techniques that I'm doing where I'm doing paper directly to paper. I just think it holds the best. It's very easy to use. It's quite fast drying. And I know that I can have the ability to move it. So just like I'm going to do now, I'm going to move it just up just a smidge. So because the glue is not dry that fast, I can move it. If you were using, you know, our white liner or regular adhesive, it's a little bit harder to move it. So I love that I can move it around just a little bit. All right, so I'm going to let that guy dry. I'm just going to set it aside for just a moment there. The glue off my fingers here. So I think we should do some stamping. What do you guys think? Let's do it. Get to it already. So again, we have two identical panels. One is for your bunny and one is for your sentiment. But again, even though Karina could have made this a little bit shorter, I think it's pretty fun that she did them both the same size. Then you don't have to, you know, worry about stamping on the wrong panel. I love that. It's just one of those extra little steps that she does that I really enjoy. Okay, so this one doesn't necessarily have to be super straight, but I like to use the grids on the blocks because our blocks are so amazing. By the way, they have these great contours all around all four sides. Love, love, love our clear blocks. And then it also has these great contour lines, which actually are on what I call the back of the block. You don't want to stick your stamps to the grid side because then they might get ink in it. It just keeps them a little bit cleaner if you do it on the non-grid side. But this line that's called Sending You is kind of my straight line. So I kind of just, you can line it up. So if you are stamping this where you're going directly to your card base, take advantage of those grid lines. Fun little tip for you. Now I'm just taking our standard black ink licorice, which is one of the best inks out there, I think. Amazing dark black ink. And I'm just going to my panel. You basically just want to stamp straight down and straight up, and you're going to get an amazing impression every single time, which is why we here at FSJ adore our red rubber. All of our stamps are deeply etched red rubber, and we just love them. Okay, so I'm going to fussy cut that in a minute, but in the meantime, let's stamp our little bunny. He's going to be fun. So in order to get a little extra depth on this bunny image, because it is a fairly solid image, I'm using two colors of ink. So I'm going to use our hazelnut first, and then I'm going to add a little accent from our dark roast. It's just a really quick, easy technique, but I think it has a great wow factor. So I'm going to ink it up with the lighter of the two, which happens to be our hazelnut. Make sure he's nice and inky. Again, a brand new stamp, you may want to go ahead and stamp it on your scratch paper to kind of, you know, get it seasoned a little bit, but I'm going to be brave and go directly to my paper. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking the black, dark roast, not the black, the dark roast. Let me just show you that cover again. And then I'm just adding it to the one side of the bunny. So I'm just kind of pouncing it along the one side. And I think you can even see with the ink a little bit that he's a little bit darker ink on the side. It's a little bit hard to tell because of that red rubber, but I think you will see the result when I stamp him. So isn't that pretty? You can definitely see where the dark roast has kind of created a little bit darker shadow along the one side of the bunny. So it's almost like maybe the sun is on this side coming in and then he's a little bit darker shadowed on that side. Super cute. So again, if you did have the matching die set, you can go ahead and grab your die cutting machine and just line these guys up. That's the sentiment and that's the bunny. And zippity-doo, you will be running it right through, probably a lot quicker than I am. But I am going to quickly fussy cut. I'm pretty quick at fussy cutting. So if you guys don't have to fussy cut, this will give you a minute to grab your die cutting machine and cut out those two pieces. We want both of them. I guess I call it fussy cut. I know we call it detail cut on our instructions sometimes. You guys will have to let me know which you call it, fussy cut or die cut. I kind of like the word fussy. I guess it just sounds fussy, right? So I'm leaving a little bit of a white edge all around my stamped image. Oh, I hope I'm not moving too much. Sorry, Roy, I kind of forgot about that. I like to leave a little bit of a white edge around my stamped image. Just gives them a little breathing space. Okay, so there's little Mr. Rabbit. I'm calling him a he. I don't know, is he a he or a she? I'm not sure. You guys will have to weigh in. When we do our live show, we have live commenting. So I certainly hope that everybody is able to join us for the live show. It's so much fun. We have Miss Lynn as being the moderator. So anytime you guys leave comments or you're chatting away on the live stream, it's so much fun. Because then she'll tell me what comments you're making, or we'll answer questions or do anything interactive like that. I love it. So again, the trick to fussy cutting really is keeping your scissors fairly stable. I've shared that before. And moving your paper around. So really my scissors are not moving, you know, left to right too much. But my other hand is rotating the paper. And it's really the way you can get the smoothest cuts. And of course, using our little detail shears is part of the magic too. Because I'm not exaggerating, there's some of the best scissors on the market. Sound like a little mini commercial, right? Actually, a funny story. My daughter's a kindergarten teacher, an art teacher nonetheless. And she was using these scissors at my house one day. And she said, "What are these scissors? They're like the best scissors ever." And I said, "Oh, honey, you know that those are the ones we sell at my work." And she was very impressed. So that's a pretty good, I guess, what do you call it? Endorsement. Yeah. Is that the right word? Okay. So fun. So we've got our two stamped pieces, and they are all cut or die cut or whichever way you went. We're going to go ahead and close this guy with some of, again, our craft glue. I'm just going to add some to both of these flaps, and then I can set it aside and let it dry also for another few minutes. So just kind of adding glue and then closing that little pocket up. You only need glue on the two sides, of course, because you want to leave the top open and the other side is on the fold. So sometimes this is my trick for drying things. When I think I've got it all square, I take one of our clear blocks. I can do double duty, and I just rest it on there and let it dry. So if you've got an extra clear block, make it do some extra work for you. Okay, so now we've got this little tiny embellishment bag. And we're going to go ahead and keep our little die cut circle handy too. So this guy you want to get out, and oh my gosh, this has one of our brand new little die cuts also in this bag, which is our little tiny baby bow. And I'm telling you guys, it is the cutest thing ever. Now you've also got a little tiny piece of paper in here. How small is that? That is like the smallest thing ever. Right, zooming in on it. So what you have is you have some twine. We'll leave that to the side. You have 3 pieces of your baby bow, and that's the little top flaps, which will be the top of the bow, the bottom of the bow, and then that tiny piece that's going to wrap around your completed bow. So don't lose that guy. He's in your bag. Now I'm going to grab my crease tool, and this is, again, one of our pattern papers. So it folds pretty good, but I like to add just a little extra crease to the paper. This breaks a little bit of the fibers in the paper and allows me to just manipulate that bow and make it really cute and fluffy. You can have a little crease in it if you want, but I think by smoothing it with the crease tool, your bow stays nice and fluffy, right? Without a big fat fold in it. So this guy I'll just leave plain. And now I bring in my craft glue again. And I just put a little bit behind here. The die is such that you can line it up. Sorry, my fingers are going to get in the way here. So you can see the little dip where you line it up. I might add a little bit more glue on top of there. And then this guy can fold down. So you'll kind of know how to fold it. It should match on both sides. Make sure it stays fluffy. And again, our glue dries pretty fast, but you may want to press it down for, you know, just a few seconds. Should get tacky fairly quickly. And I'm going to put a little bit on the back, and I'll of course put where I overlapped it underneath. So where your little flaps are met, you want to spin that around. And put this guy on top of your little ribbons. I call these my ribbon ends. And again, that'll get tacky fairly quickly. And then this little guy, just put a little smidge of glue. I know it seems a little fussy, huh? But it's so cute. It's so worth it, you guys. We have two versions of this bow in larger sizes. We have our regular bow die, and then we have a mini bow die. So this is the third member of the family, and we call it our baby bow because it is so tiny. I have a tiny bit of that extra strip behind here, so I'm going to trim that away. And then that guy's pretty tacky. He's going to take a minute to dry, so again, I can use something. Maybe I'll put my scissors on top just to rest there for a second while it dries. Again, it won't take long. And I'll start working on assembling the rest of my card. Okay, so we've got, I'm going to bring back my folded card base. I've got that guy right here, and you're going to want to grab some foam squares. Grab these from my little stash here. These are our larger foam squares, but you can use small, whatever you have handy. And I'm going to go ahead and start adding this panel with foam squares. I usually use 9. I keep one in the middle so it doesn't sink in, and then, of course, all 4 corners and the other 4 edges. I like my foam squares. You just add a lot of fun dimension to the card. Make it pop a little bit. Okay, so this goes on your card base. Make sure it's opening the right way. Not that I've ever put it on wrong again. Have you guys? No. Okay, so that guy fits perfectly on there. And now my pocket is pretty dry over here. I did want to show that I had a little gift card here. And if you choose to, or if you're giving this card, you know, for a special occasion or maybe for an Easter treat, this pocket is perfect to fit a gift card in. And that's why we glued the grass on the, you know, back of the front flap. Does that make sense? So if you do choose to put a gift card in, it'll fit right behind that grass. So instead of doing the grass, you know, on the back of the card. So isn't that adorable? I'll keep that handy and maybe I'll pop it back in the finished card. But okay, so before we adhere this pocket, we want to add our little cute little die cut back here. And this is from one of our newer dies called Circle Around. So I'm going to kind of have my pocket here for placement. And I'm going to adhere this circle. Kind of want it tucked in. This circle is going to give me a nice place to rest my sentiment. So that's why it's back there. So our sentiment can pop a little more. And we want a little more green accent around your pocket. So we have this fun grouping of our lemongrass twine right here. And that should be in your little envelope too. And I'm going to want to, before I adhere this pocket, wrap it around this pocket several times and tie a cute little bow. It's just kind of an additional accent for that grass. So I think I'll wrap it 3 times. That seems good. You should have plenty of twine. I suppose you could even do 4 if you wanted. But 3 feels pretty good to me. You kind of want the bow on the left side because we're going to end up putting the bunny on the right. So kind of adjust your bow where you want it. I'm actually going to tie a knot first. This gets kind of covered up by your baby bow. Your baby bow is going to go on top, so don't worry too much, you know, if it's twisted or anything. So there's my fun little bow. I'll trim off the extras. All right, set that aside. So now I can kind of grab my bunny, and again for placement, I can kind of imagine I'm going to put him somewhere about here. And then I just want to make sure my bow's in the right place before I glue this guy on. And then your baby bow is going to glue right on top of your twine bow. Isn't that fun? So again, that's going to have to dry for a minute, so I might as well add some glue right now to the back of my baby bow. Could be like a tongue twister, right? Back of your baby bow. And I'm just going to put it kind of right on top of that knot, and again, that's going to take just a second to dry, so I could be working with these other two pieces while I'm finishing that. And my sentiment's going to go on top of the pocket. We'll let that dry for a minute. I'll put the bunny on first because my bow's drying there for a second. I do use more foam adhesive for my bunny. And I like to get extra mileage out of my squares, so I cut them in half sometimes. Do you guys ever do that? Especially for skinny pieces like this, because I want his little ears to pop up and his cute little head. So you could switch to our smaller foam squares, or you can just do a little trim like I did. Then I get double duty. Okay. Again, he's going to pop up somewhere right here. There we go. Super cute. And I could pop this square up if I wanted, or I could adhere it straight to the card base. I think I will add a foam squares, but that's going to be optional for you. If you want to pop this up again like I'm doing, you certainly can, or you can just adhere it directly to your card panel. Whatever tickles your fancy. This is kind of a fancy Easter card, I think. Okay, so you could exactly center this, or you could do it a little bit right of center, you know, whatever. I think I'm going to more or less go for centering it. Somewhere right around there. So cute. Make sure my bow's still in place. This little tiny pearl that's also in your little Ziploc bag. See a little tiny pearl? We use this as an embellishment for the center of your bow. It does have a little sticky tape, but sometimes I reinforce it with just a little dab of glue. Or you could use a glue dot, of course. Now it's sticking to my finger. I don't want it to fall off, so I do put a little extra dab of craft glue. Oh my goodness. Really is sticking to my finger. Stay. There we go. I'll use my scissors to kind of press it down just a little bit. Okay, now that should stay on really well. Oh my gosh, it's coming together, guys. Are you loving it so far? I am. Now the sentiment's I've got one extra tip to share with you on adhering the sentiment, because you can see that part of it is going to pop up back here, and whereas the rest of it is kind of level. So I really only need one foam square right behind the top of the sentiment. So I'll just put one foam square here, and then because the rest of your sentiment is touching your pocket, you can use regular adhesive. You can use, of course, the tape runner, or you can use, you know, white liner or whatever you've got. So you only need a foam square at the top. And then this guy kind of nestles in here. You probably don't want to get it, you know, over your little notch here in case you do put a gift card in. But it kind of fits perfectly right in that little notch of the pocket. Love it so much. So cute. So I will slide the little gift card back in just to show you. Slide it right behind there, and then it can just kind of pop right in there behind your grass. It makes a super cute little fun way to give a gift card. But it's absolutely darling without the gift card too, because it does have that nice little sky blue glow back there. Now there's one last step, and I kind of saved it for last because I think it's a fun little accent, but of course this could be optional. If you have the bubblegum silk, you're sure welcome to use it. If you don't already have it, I'll just talk a little bit about the silk. This is a really fun product that Fun Stamper's Journey has, and it's got some metallic in the bottom of the bottle, so do kind of want to shake it up and make sure that metallic's all mixed up. It's going to give me a really light pink little flick of color onto my card. It's pretty subtle, but sometimes it adds just that extra little fun touch. So once I make sure it's shook up, I'm just going to take it out, and you'll see that when I do, it kind of has a top almost like a fingernail polish, which is what it looks like. I'll move my card a little bit just to show you. And then you can tap the top, and it just adds a little bit of color. So do you see that fun little sprinkle? It looks a little bit dark at first, but it definitely lightens it up. It lightens up as it dries. So I love that fun little extra flick of color. Again, if you don't have it or you don't want that look, that's optional. And I don't do a ton on there. I kind of tend to go across the card, like starting at the upper left and going to the bottom right. A little bit of color on there. So again, pretty subtle, but it kind of adds just a fun little hint of color. And it does have a little bit of the metallic in there, so it makes it kind of, you know, a little glimmery, a little fun. So super fun, love that. So happy that your very first project is done. Yay, give yourself a little hand. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave this on the screenshot right here just for a second. And then, oh yes, we're just gonna get it nice and tight. So if you need to pause, if you need to catch up a little bit and finish this project, I'm just gonna leave it there just for a few seconds. And I will be right back to start project number 2. Okay then, so is everybody caught up? Hopefully you paused the video if you needed to. We are ready to start project number 2. So this is just zipping right along here. For project number 2, we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to grab our other project postcard here, and we're going to start with the Easter greetings card. So I thought it would be kind of fun to put aside the faithfulness stamp set and switch over to the egg, the fancy eggs stamp set, and that's this guy right here. And then the card kit you will need looks like this. Looks pretty plain right now, but it's not going to be for long. So this one has the little tiny clothespin in it, the washi tape, and all those other goodies. And the fancy eggs stamp set, of course. Let me open mine. That'd be so awesome here. And again, it comes on the little plastic, so I'll set that aside. Put my stamp set right on its backer card. And this guy has so many different eggs. This is going to be a blast to create this card. I think you guys are really going to have fun. So we did pick out several colors for our eggs that we're going to stamp on this panel. And I have got, gosh, I think 6 or 7 different ink pads here. I'll just start bringing them in. But honestly, you guys could do any color eggs you want. So whether you have all of these same exact colors or maybe you have different colors at home, feel free to just make your eggs exactly your style and in your favorite color palette. But I will go ahead and start opening my fun little kit here. So again, we have the larger panel is of course the card base. I'm going to set that aside real quick. We've got our one whipped cream panel here that we're going to stamp with the eggs all the way around. And then we have another one, again, exactly the same size that we're going to use for our sentiment and our one individual egg. So you can just set one of those aside. Again, doesn't matter. They're both the same size. And don't forget your cute little vellum piece here. This is so neat that they went ahead and die cut and pierced this for us. All the hard part is done. So we're going to use that for our layering in just a moment. And then this is the card mat. I can also set that aside. What you basically want to start with is your one main cardstock whipped cream panel. So I think I'll just set the card base aside too. I don't need to fold that quite yet. So this guy, the idea really is just stamping eggs all around the border, all the way around the edge. So again, you can follow and do exactly the same way I do it, or you can just kind of wing it and do your own colors, your own placement, whatever you'd like. I'm going to start down here in the bottom and just work my way around. So this very bottom egg is Beach Breeze. I'm going to grab that guy out. And I like to, when I start stamping the eggs, I like to start thinking about, you know, how I'm going to arrange them. So I'll kind of have them tilted different ways as I go around my border, just so it adds a lot of motion and a lot of fun to the card. This is really one of those cards that's super fun and super cheerful. And I am going to go ahead and stamp all of my eggs, pretty much all of them, right off the border of the white panel. So don't let it bother you if some of that is hanging off the bottom. So again, that creates that fun movement on the card. I'm going to set that guy aside because I think I'll use him again. And then we'll switch over to, let's see, which egg do we want next? Maybe this little swirly guy. So again, if you want to follow along, I'll just kind of show each stamp as I stamp it. But you can, of course, do different colors or different shapes. I'm going to do orange creamsicle now. There'll be a lot of opening and closing ink pads now. I try to be good about closing them when I'm done. And sometimes I'll stamp extra eggs on my grid paper just to kind of make sure that my stamp is inked up really well. This little egg, I'm going to kind of start tilting the other direction. Super cute. Let's see, where do I want next? Let's do a little purple guy. And the eggs are 2 different sizes. I should point out that if you did get the plus kit, you have the matching die set. And the eggs are 2 slightly different sizes, and we've got a die to match each one. So when you do future projects, you can have the option of cutting out all the different eggs. We're not going to need the die right now, but might pull it out again later. Okay, so what did I say? Purple. I'm going to go for Grape Fusion. Hold that down for one more second. This is the Grape Fusion egg. He's a little bit smaller one, so I'm going to kind of angle him, nestle him right in here. Super cute. Should I just keep saying that every time I stamp an egg? Oh, that one's cute. Oh, that one's cute. I'm sure sometimes I say the word cute far too many times, but you know, sometimes you just got to go with it. Try to think of some other adjectives. So this next one is kind of the little floral, kind of almost looks like our journey bloom. I love that. The little floral image on this egg. And you will see that most of our eggs tend to be a little bit more solid, but the stamp set again does have these 2 solid eggs. So even if you have an egg, like for instance the first one that I stamped, you could do one color and then you could come back with a solid color and add maybe a lighter tone behind, or vice versa, stamp one first and then put the other egg on top, you know, so keep that in mind. There's so many options with the stamp set, I just get excited. Okay, so floral little egg we're going to do with Watermelon Fusion. And again, kind of angle this guy. Let's see, maybe kind of like this. Ooh, I love that one. Flowers really pop on that one. In fact, this is going to be the one. I might as well stamp it now while I've got the panel out. This is going to be the individual egg that we do on the front. So I'm going to take my other whipped cream panel just because I have this handy. I'm going to go ahead and kind of go off to the one side and stamp one additional watermelon egg right on that other panel. I'll just set it aside because I'm going to cut it out later. But hey, might as well do it while you've got the ink handy, right? Okay, so let's go back to, I think I'll go back to my little Beach Breeze egg. Kind of tip him down so the point of it's almost kind of coming down. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do Beach Breeze, but I'm going to switch my egg pattern. Just kind of go along here. Let's do this little striped guy. We'll do him in the Beach Breeze. Kind of bring him in there. Fun. Now I do have this little corner area right here, which you could leave blank, but I kind of like the idea of coming back in with the orange creamsicle and this little guy and kind of filling in that little spot. If you did look at the photo on the card, you will see that the sentiment goes right in the middle. So I think it's kind of nice to have, you know, as much of the border filled up as possible. So I'm just going to bring just a little smidge of the orange creamsicle egg in there, just so it kind of fills up my border. Okay, now what? Let's go with green. We haven't used limeade yet. I think this little egg with the little green leaves, well, they're not green yet, but they will be. But the little leaf pattern will be perfect for the limeade, right? Yes, I can hear you saying, yes, Kim, that's perfect. I'm actually going to turn him around so the bigger part is down at the bottom. Kind of angle him in here. There we go. And again, I hope you're having fun stamping all your little eggs. Just kind of going to town. Let's see, do I want to switch to a different one? Maybe I'll grab this flowered one. I think I'll come back with my Grape Fusion. Kind of draws your eye, you know, back over here to the other side of the card. Gonna bring him in there. That one I didn't quite go off the edge, which I think is totally fine. Just gives a little bit different look. Now I'm going to bring in a yellow, so I'm going to go ahead and grab, let's see. Yep, I'll grab the bigger egg. I'm going to stamp this next one, kind of a two-tone yellow, and actually I'm going to do it here and here. So I'm going to start with Pineapple Smoothie. So this is the solid egg. And then I'm going to use the little outline piece so I can kind of show you how that works. So I'm going to bring one in there, which is fairly light, but that's why the outline is going to be fun to really make it pop. And then another one right there. Now, because a really nice complementary color to Pineapple Smoothie is our haystack, I'm going to use that guy for the outline, the haystack. So grab my egg outline, and the outline does come in both the big and the small. I guess I should turn it around. The big and the small, so that's going to be really fun. So again, haystack, I'm just going to come in and outline that egg. Doesn't it pop just way more now? Love it. And then that guy right there. Fun, fun. Now I feel like I'm going to come back with a pink one more time, and see how I have this little corner up here? Just going to fill that in with watermelon. I kind of use the same colors on the same stamp, so that is going to give me unity in my design, instead of stamping different colors with the same egg. That seems like it's not quite as busy, even though, yes, this is quite a busy card. Now I'll come back with orange, because I've got orange here and here. Orange creamsicle. And I'm almost all the way around, aren't I? Awesome. You like my little tap, tap, tap? It's like, load up that ink. There we go. I'll do one more in the corner. I think I'll bring that limeade back in, because I've only used him once. And we'll pop him in right there. So, how colorful and fun is that, guys? Love it. Again, I wish I could just be there crafting with all of you as you create your little eggs, and I'm sure everyone's turns out a little bit different, and that's really what makes it super fun and super special. All right, so now I'm going to grab this panel back in where I stamped the one watermelon egg, and I'm going to finish this panel by stamping my sentiment. And that's going to be the Easter greetings sentiment. Pull that guy out. And it is simply stamped in black licorice. Get that guy on there. Bring in my black licorice. And then these two pieces, the sentiment and the one single egg, will be cut out. And again, assuming that you do not have the die at home, I'm going to fussy cut them. But if you do have the die, lucky you, you're going to be much faster and being able to just quickly cut that out with your matching die. And that's this guy again. So here we go with my little fussy cutting, or maybe your die cutting. I think this is going to be a Stamp and Die set that's going to be very popular with our Journey fans out there. We had an egg set that was just one of our smaller stamp sets, which is, by the way, called an ATS, which stands for Artist Trading Stamp. So it's a smaller format stamp. We had one that was an egg that had a little matching die, and oh, that was a good seller. One of our favorites. So it'll be interesting to see if this one becomes the new favorite. I just think it might. Again, kind of coming along. I cut away some of my scraps sometimes because they kind of get in my way. So if you see me kind of cutting away the excess paper, that's just another little tip. Easter is kind of late in the calendar this year, isn't it? So we're getting your stamps to you in February. And sometimes Easter falls either late March or early April, but if I remember correctly, it's a little bit later in April this year, which is kind of good because it gives us even more time to craft, right? Yeah. Okay, so get my little scraps away. So now I have my sentiment, my single egg, and I'm pretty much ready to start assembly. So really all the hard work right now is done. The rest is just kind of layering up, getting your foam squares, adding them to that vellum. I'll give you some tips and tricks on how to do that. But I will put this up and just give you just a couple seconds. If you need to pause that, if you are still die cutting, or if you want to take a little break, I'll just let it hold there for just 1 second, and then we will come right back. So let's finish up this card. I think we're ready. Let's grab the card base. So that's the biggest piece of whipped cream you have in there, and just go ahead and fold that in half. If you do have our Journey scoring board, that's pretty clever. Pretty good idea to use that too. I don't have that here with me right now, but. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab my watermelon fusion panel, and this guy gets mounted right on that. And then I'm going to add some foam under that, so I think I'm going to adhere this first. You could use whatever adhesive you have handy. You want to center your little eggs right on this watermelon panel. Perfect. And then I'll use some foam squares to mount this to my card base. Again, I probably use about 6 squares with this size panel. This one's a little bit smaller, so I don't think I always need the one down the middle, but you can add it if you want. This is the worst. These little sticky things are the worst, right? Do you guys have them where they're like always running around sticking to different things? I walk around, I'm like, oh, there's one on the front of my shirt or on my pant leg. So this border is cut a little bit wider around the edge of the card, which I think is fun. It gives a little more breathing room for your eggs. So it's supposed to be like that. So now what we have is this fun vellum piece. You're going to want to grab your little embellishment bag. Grab all the goodies out of here. So I think I'm going to embellish my vellum before I add it to the card, because that's going to help me figure out where to put my extra foam squares. That'll make sense as you see me go along here. So you've got a little piece of washi tape, which we have cleverly, Karina has, put it on a piece of vellum, so you can just peel that off. It will still be sticky. It's a little bit longer than I think I would want, so I'm going to go ahead and tear both edges. I also think the torn look for the washi is really fun. So I'm just going to tear each edge of the washi tape. And then I can kind of bring my greeting in and kind of figure out, you know, because I want this vellum kind of tucked underneath my greeting. So I'll put it about there. My greeting is going to go there. Actually, I'll tie this bow in just a second here. Put my little dots on first. And then, of course, don't forget your little egg. He's going to kind of tuck in here. So I think I'll go ahead and pop those up first, and then I'll add my little enamel dots. So again, I'm kind of placing the little egg behind my sentiment. And then this guy can be popped up or not. I think it's kind of fun popped up. But you could also adhere it directly to the vellum. Whichever way. Isn't that fun? Okay, so then my 3 little dots I just basically want underneath. Everyone's dots probably are a little bit different colors. I'm going to put the medium one kind of maybe over here underneath my greeting. And then my pink one below. So again, no matter what color your dots are, you just want to place all three kind of underneath your sentiment there. So now you can get the idea that this is going to be mounted on your card just a little bit cattywampus, I guess, is that the correct name for it? Just a little bit tilted. But now since I have these elements, I know where I can put my foam squares behind, and then they're not going to show through the vellum. So that's why we place those on first. I can even hide one kind of underneath the tape. So just be a little strategic on where you put your foam squares. I guess I'll put one more there. Because then, see, they're not going to show through the vellum at all. Tricky, tricky, right? Oh, yeah. Okay, so again, this is just the perfect little spot right between all of your little eggs to put your little greeting. So super fun. The clothespin is going to kind of be just a fun little accent right here at the top of your vellum. And then that's going to be embellished with your little twine bow, which is a triple bow. I won't take the time to go through the whole explanation of how to create this bow, although I will do it and walk you through. But if you are interested in learning how to make this triple bow on your own, or if you want to try it with different twines or thin ribbons or whichever way you go, we have an excellent video online done by our Miss Lynn, and she will walk you through slowly and carefully how to create this bow. But your essential idea is that you put your two fingers out, your first and your second finger, and then you want to loop this twine around 3 times in total. So you have 3 loops on each finger. And then the little end you have right here, which you have plenty, you kind of want to dive right into that, what I call the well. That's the little gap between your 2 fingers. And then before you pull this loop completely tight, you want to bring that same string that you just dived through the well. Sorry, hopefully you guys can see this okay. And you kind of want to loop it through this loop to create a knot. So I go through, and that's going to be the knot that holds your little bow together. And then you can pull it tight, bring it off your fingers, and you have a nice fluffy bow. Of course, you can trim the ends. And you can kind of adjust it a little bit, fluff it up. But again, if that was a little bit too fast, you can either watch again or refer to the video we have on YouTube, which is one of our most popular videos, by the way, where Miss Lynn teaches you all the tricks of the triple or double bow. So I'm just putting a little bit of craft glue on that little tiny clothespin and just kind of layering that right on top. So there is the finished card. Super cute. Again, high five to everyone for finishing their second card project. I absolutely love it. If you do want to pause that there and finish catching up with, everything else, you're sure welcome to do that. And we will be right back to start project number 3. Okay, crafters, how we doing? Are we all caught up, ready to go? I think this is going by way too fast. First of all, we're already done with 2 out of the 4 projects, but let's go ahead and dive right into project number 3. So you're going to want to grab your postcard out, and this one that we're going to do next is called the Alleluia card. So pretty and dainty. You're going to learn some tips and tricks on coloring this fun little floral image, and then adding some ink to one of the panels. So super fun. So the card kit looks like this, of course, which has our beautiful fresh sage for the background. That's one of our newer colors here at Fun Stampers Journey. It's just the perfect shade of green for Easter. At least I think so. So grab everything out of your kit. What you will notice right away is that you have a fresh sage panel that's already embossed with one of our really pretty embossing folders. So that's got some nice texture, and we're going to bring out that texture even more by adding some pigment ink to it. So we'll set that right there. And of course you have your little bag of goodies. We'll kind of set that aside. We've got 2 strips here, a peaches and cream strip and a vellum strip. And again, I'm going to set those aside. Cute little circle for behind. Now again, I have 2 panels that are exactly the same size. One is going to be for my flowers and one is going to be for my sentiment. So it doesn't matter, obviously, which one you pick. I think we're going to start with stamping our flowers. So what you're also going to want to bring in is your Faithfulness stamp set, so the same one we used earlier. This time we're going to be stamping these beautiful lilies right here. So I think it'll be kind of a fun thing to practice. We're going to do some no line coloring. I guess that's the official name for it. I don't know if that's an official or if that's just what I've heard it called around the internets. But again, mount this guy on here. Now inking this up is going to be a little bit tricky. I guess I wouldn't say it's too scary or anything, but I am going to grab one of my little, let's see if I got one out here, one of my little baby wipes, because when I ink this up, I'm going to try to be a little bit careful and get ink in just the right spots. So I've just got a standard baby wipe, or you could use a damp paper towel, of course, if you wanted to. I'm going to try to ink up all the top of this with Peaches and Cream, but see how this one leaf kind of comes up in between? So I'm actually going to stamp the leaves first, and then if I get a little bit too much green here, I'm going to wipe that away before I go to my Peaches and Cream. Does that make sense? Anyway, follow along as I ink it up, and I think you'll find it comes pretty clear. So I'm going to come in here and ink, and luckily this fresh sage you can see is quite dark, and I think it'll be easy to see. I do want a little fresh sage at the bottom of my flowers, and I want to make sure that one leaf gets inked really well. But what I've got here is I've got probably a little bit too much green, especially on these two side flowers. So again, I'm just going to come in with my wipe and just take a little bit of that ink off, maybe a smidge there, and just a little bit here. So now when I come in with my Peaches and Cream, it's not going to get too muddy looking. Again, I don't care if a little bit of green is there, because we're going to come back in and do some really fun coloring. So I'm kind of using the corner of my ink pad, and again, this is the Peaches and Cream, and I'm getting all my flowers colored up. And just a reminder, they don't have to be perfect because we are going to be adding pencil on top of these. So you just kind of want to get as much ink coverage as you can. It's kind of what no line coloring is all about. We don't want a really dark line. So even this Peaches and Cream ink is going to be fairly light. But that's okay, that's how we want it. So let's see how I did. Not too bad. So I've maybe got a tiny bit of green up at the top of my flowers, but it's perfectly fine because again, when we add our color pencil to this, it's all going to blend together really, really pretty. So what I am using for coloring is our Journey Color Burst pencils, and these are our, I guess you would call them traditional colored pencils, although I think they're some of the best on the market. They're really creamy, really easy to work with. So I want to grab a couple shades of green. I definitely want to grab some yellow. I'm also going to grab my white pencil out because I think that's going to be a fun one to add some little highlights. I'll tell you the colors of these pencils too in just a minute. I might even grab a little bit more orangey for the center of my flowers. I'm going to start with these colors, and then if I decide I need to add more later, I can grab some more. But the pencils that I'm going to work with initially, the two greens are 21 and 22. So if you're following along with your Journey color, oh gosh, they're kind of hard to see. 21 and 22, and then our white is number 40, I believe. Let's see, 48. They're kind of iridescent, aren't they? The one yellow is 16, and then 17 is the lighter yellow, and then my light orange is 10, color number 10. So again, if you do want to follow exactly along, those would be good choices. So what I'll do is I'll start with the lighter of the two yellows, and I'm just going to kind of come in, and wherever the ink is already pretty dark, that's where I want to start adding my yellow. And I'm going to do fairly light with my coloring. I'm not going to press really hard, but you can kind of see as I go along that just right away it just starts defining those stamped areas that have got the yellow. And I'm going to go a little bit down here because I know that that probably should have been yellow. It's a little bit green. So again, just there's really no trick to it. Just follow what's already stamped. Come along here. Go into the flower, get this part, this little smidge over here. Maybe a little bit farther down where it's kind of green. Again, we're just kind of defining the area that's already stamped. And this takes a little bit, so take your time and have fun with it. Okay, now I'm going to grab my darker yellow. I'm pretty much going to do the same thing, although I'm going to go a little bit more on the outside along these lines. Maybe not fill the center quite so much. But the areas that still remain white, that's where I'm going to try to leave white. And I might even come with my white pencil and highlight those a little bit. There's the center of the flower. And really there's no right or wrong doing this. This is just one idea of how to color them. I'm sure you're going to have your own ideas of how to add the shading. And I would love if you shared those too. We always love if people tag us on social media. If you follow us on Instagram, you know that our Instagram name is FS Journey. So we kind of shortened it. We didn't want to make it too long. So if you don't already follow us, definitely head over to Instagram and follow FS Journey. So now I've got my orange pencil. So this is the one where I want just a little bit more orange. That's also going to cover that green a little bit more. I think I want orange like right in the middle of my flower too, because that's like the darkest part, right? Might even go up here just a little bit. So I don't want to add too much orange. In fact, I'm going to come back later and blend it back with the yellow. But I think it's kind of fun. Mostly again in the middle of my flower. And this is kind of the center. This lily is kind of bent over. So fun. So I think I'll come with my medium yellow and just blend a little bit more. That's going to kind of smooth out the orange. And even if I go over where the white is a little bit, it's perfectly fine because I can kind of see where it's going to be now. I think coloring is kind of fun and relaxing. Do you guys find that it is? And you can see just by adding that color that it really just kind of blends together because the pencil's so creamy. Pretty. Again, kind of blending that orange. Of course, we're going to do the same type of thing with the green leaves. Now I can come back in where I see that it was white and add a little bit more white highlights. The white is the color you want mostly on the top, right where that stamp is already white. Okay, I'm going to leave those for now, and then once I get my green in, I might want to come back and shade a little bit more, but so far I'm pretty happy with those. Not too shabby. So out of the two greens that I have, I'm going to start with a lighter green. And I'm really going to go pretty light with my strokes on this one because the sage green is already quite pretty. I don't need a ton of color on these. I just kind of want to deepen them. I think this little part out here should be green right there, don't you think? Again, it would be so fun to just sit next to all of you and just be coloring away. I think I need some girl crafting time pretty soon. Again, not pushing very hard with this green because I don't want to, you know, make it too bright either. I think where you're really going to see the accents is when you come in with the darker. Going along a little bit of the outlines. Isn't that one pretty? Just kind of defines those leaves so much. It would be fun to see what somebody could do with some of our other mediums, like our liquid color. That would be really fun to play with. Even our pan pastel probably would be just gorgeous with this stamp set. If you stamped this image with clear pigment ink and then added some pan pastel on top, it would be really pretty. Darken up that stem a little bit. Try a little definition up here on my flowers. So see how the yellow really pops a lot more when you add the green definition? Sometimes you kind of have to step back and go, okay, I think I'm getting there. I think I'm getting pretty close. I think my coloring here is a little bit darker than the original one I did, which is perfectly fine. Just kind of shows how everyone's a little bit different. Make sure I get enough white in there just to kind of make it pop. The white also kind of has the effect of doing a little blending and stuff too. So let's back it up a little bit, Roy, and look at the effect when it's not too close. But kind of pretty, right? Kind of see the flower action going on there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly cut it out. Again, if you have the matching die, I'll bring that back in real quick. You do have the option of using your die because there's a die that matches that little guy. But I'm just going to quickly fussy cut it out. Then once you've got the whole card together, you also can, of course, go back and change any little highlights that you want or do some final adjustments. I think I'm pretty happy with this one. Kind of getting into the leaves there. I want this to be pretty dainty when it's cut out. Kind of love that about it. Something about the lilies that just really kind of scream Easter to me. I was just thinking about doing that pan pastel thing, and now I can hardly wait to go try it. If you don't already have our pan pastels, there's something really fun to check out. They have a lot of pigment, so I think they're going to be perfect for this. This card is fairly simple, but it really lets the stamped image kind of take center stage. Especially with a little bit of vellum we're going to add. Come in between this leaf just a little bit more. Yep, if you're die cutting, it'd probably be a lot quicker. There. Okay. Fun, fun, fun. Now, before we start assembling our card, I'm going to take this, again, embossed panel that we have, and I'm going to grab some of our whipped cream ink. And you can do this two different ways. You can either apply it with a little bit of sponge. I have some of that sponge I have left over. In which case you would want to use the flat part of the sponge. So you definitely want to grab a flat section because you want to kind of brush this over just the raised areas. But essentially it's the same, pretty much the same exact thing as just going directly from your ink pad. So I don't really think it's necessary to use the sponge, but you can try either way. But the ink pad top is very flat. Now our whipped cream ink is one of our pigment inks, and you can tell that it's a little bit different because it has our little journey bloom next to it. And that means that this, out of all of our inks, we only have two that have more pigment in them, and that is our buttercream and our whipped cream. So if you're ever wondering why that little flower is there, or maybe you never even noticed it before, and that's okay too. But they do mean that they have a little bit more pigment in our ink formula, and they're going to take a little bit longer to dry too. So we're going to kind of get some ink on here and then set it aside to dry. So again, I'm trying to keep the ink pad fairly flat, and you can use, you know, whatever motion you want, straight. I kind of like to swirl mine a little bit. And I'm basically just trying to catch those highlighted areas of the embossed portion. Isn't that pretty? You can see how it just really starts popping more and more. And you can add as much or as little ink as you want. Totally up to you. It's just really a soft finish. It almost has like a fun texture to it now that it's almost a little, what's the right word? Powdery, maybe. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but anyway, very pretty. And this also will dry slightly lighter when it's completely dry. So I'm going to just set that aside for a few minutes while I work on my sentiment and a few other parts of my card. I probably could have done that even earlier just to make sure it's dry. But you can also take your heat tool and hit it just a little bit with the heat tool, and that will make it dry even quicker. Okay, so I'll pull this other panel we have out, and I'm going to work on my sentiment. Let's see, where did I put my stamp set? Now I'm like, here it is, buried. Come on, you guys never lose stuff on your craft desk, do you? No, never. So the Alleluia is the sentiment that we want. Pull that little guy out here. Now instead of stamping it in black, which is typically what I most often do for my sentiments, we're going to switch it up a little bit and stamp this guy in fresh sage. I think because the card is so soft and pretty that I want to continue that look with the sentiment too. So I'm grabbing my fresh sage and stamping it right here. You're going to have plenty of room on this block. We don't need this panel for anything else, but you have room to stamp 2 sentiments if you want. Maybe an extra one for another card. Again, super dainty, super pretty. If you do have the matching die, it's right there for your Alleluia. But I'm going to, again, fussy cut mine out just a little bit. If you guys have the die, you can do that now, or you can just fast forward little old me and get on to the next part. What do you think, Roy? How many people are just fast forwarding right now? He's like, no, none.
You want me to predict it?
Well, some people, you know, it's kind of like watching, we have a designer on the Spellbinders side named Paul Antonio, and he does the beautiful calligraphy. And we were just talking the other day about how it's kind of mesmerizing to watch him do the calligraphy, and it's just so slow and graceful and pretty. So you have to watch our Spellbinders YouTube channel and some of our Spellbinders things.
It's zen. It's a zen experience to watch.
Oh, it's kind of zen, exactly. We're going to be publishing some of those videos pretty quick, so keep your eyes open for that. It's very fascinating to watch him do the script. Maybe it's not quite as fascinating watching someone fussy cut, but, you know, it could be a little relaxing. Okay, so I just want that guy cut out, mainly because we are going to use the vellum to really make the sentiment pop a little more. So that's why I think fussy cutting it out is kind of fun and makes it really look dainty and pretty. I love that. I'll grab a couple more of our pieces here. Let's see if this is quite dry. I'm like, dry, dry, dry. It's feeling pretty good. You can actually see that already it's a little bit lighter than when I first, you know, showed you. So it definitely has that lighter look. Fold my card base here. This is a tent fold card. So the fold is at the top. Kind of like that for a little change of pace once in a while. Now I'm going to go ahead and adhere this piece on with some foam squares. So I'll do that and then let it dry a couple more minutes while we finish the last few pieces. I'll put one in the middle. More sticky backs, yay. So this piece is kind of centered, and this has a nice wide border all the way around. So you just kind of want to make sure it's pretty centered there. If you have a ruler, you can certainly get it out and measure it, but I don't think that's really necessary. Now my little pineapple smoothie stitched heart here is really going to be the basis for my flower. So again, that's going to make my flower pop even more. So I kind of want that ish, maybe about, what is that, 1/2 inch down from the top edge. I'm going to pop that guy up too. I'm not going to put a foam square way over on this edge that hangs over because I don't want it to catch on my card. So that's another little tip for you. I just want the edge to hang out about there. So again, maybe 1/2 inch from the top and then just a little bit hanging over the edge here. Now, before I put this little peach panel on, which goes next, or actually I could even tuck it under a little bit, I'm going to grab my little pack of embellishments, and that's this little baggie here. And I'm going to grab our peaches and cream string right here, or thread, whatever we call it. And I'm just going to wrap it around this panel once and tie a sweet little bow. I love how all of our items coordinate and look so pretty together. So our color palettes all have coordinating items. This happens to be one of the newer ones also. Peaches and cream thread. Actually, you know what I might do to make it even easier? I'm going to come on the back and grab a foam square and just kind of hold that string in place. It's not quite centered, so I want it a little bit off from center. I'm just going to hold that guy into place so I won't have to battle it. It'll be like, you're still battling it, Kim. Well, you have plenty of string, so don't worry too much about getting it centered. You do want the bow kind of over to the right side of your little panel here. So somewhere right around there. Just a single little bow. Just adds a, again, the card is pretty dainty, so I kind of want it to be pretty dainty of a bow there. One more little trick I have for these guys is a lot of times I'll come back with just a little smidge of the craft glue and I'll put a little dab underneath each edge of the bow. I don't know, I just think it holds that bow in place, so instead of having it, you know, curl oddly or get mussed up, you don't have to do this step, but it's kind of one that I do once in a while. Maybe I'm a little more conscious of it because we take photos of a lot of our cards, and I want to make sure that it stays in place. Now this will dry clear, but you can take a little scrap of paper and make sure there's not too much glue hanging around. It's like, stay in place. And again, that will dry clear, but I like to have it stay put. And my foam square is sticking a little bit. Okay, so I'll add a couple more foam squares behind. Probably add 2 more anyway. Maybe I'll be generous and do another one down here. I do want this panel to lay fairly flat. Or this strip, I guess I should say. Peaches and cream guy. Okay, so I think I'm going to tuck it just a little bit underneath the circle. And then you want it more or less centered onto the embossed panel. So try to even it up a little bit there. Okay, fun. Now, all we've got left is our flowers and our sentiment and a few little pearls. Oh my gosh, we are almost done. I'll go ahead and grab a few more foam squares. I know, right? More foam squares. I think I'm going to cut this one in half too, so I can get some little foam on the tips of these flowers. One more have to, like my thriftiness of cutting them. Well, it's also to make them fit better, right? Peel everything off. Okay, so now we can kind of center your flowers. Oh gosh, I'm trying to grab my foam square here. Kind of center them. You want them probably the base of it to about hit your little string right there. So somewhere right in there. This peach panel becomes kind of the grounding for your image there. Super fun. I am going to go ahead and put a few little dabs of white glue on my sentiment now and get it sticking to this vellum. I want it sort of to the left of the vellum because it's going to hang over a little bit. So kind of hold that down for 1 second. Bit of extra glue there. Make sure it's not all over my fingers. So you're going to want to let that dry for just a second. And then the idea for adhering this now to my finished piece is that I can add a little bit of glue, you know, right where it's going to hide behind there. But if I want this to pop up, I'm going to put it underneath the bow a little bit. I am going to want to put, at least on this side for sure, just a little bit of foam adhesive. So I'm going to grab one of my smaller squares, and I'm going to strategically, again, like we did in the other card, put it right behind that A. In fact, I might do 2 there. And that's going to hide those pieces. Now, I'm not too worried about the piece over here. You could cut a little tiny sliver and put it, you know, where the little tail swirls. But I think it'll stay in place just fine. So I'm kind of layering this vellum so it hits above my string. I don't want to go over my string. But it's really all about grounding it kind of on the leaves there. Oops. Okay, I probably shouldn't have put that second. Let's scratch that second piece. Let's just put one piece behind the A, because that'll kind of nestle down, you know, where your stamped image is not. And then I'm going to lift it up and put a little bit of glue behind the L. Behind the E and the L. And again, that'll be just hiding back there. Make sure my bow's on top here. Again, if you wanted to have a tiny bit of vellum there, I really don't think you need it. I think between the dot of glue here and the foam square there, that's going to stay in place just fine. Now the last thing we have to do is add our little pearl accents. So we have one kind of nestled on the yellow above the sentiment and 2 below. Doesn't really matter which size goes where, but put one kind of up here. And then maybe one on the peach. My bow stays. Another little one down here on the green. So I love the little pearl accents. It just kind of draws your eye around the card, you know, from your main stamped image to kind of across the sentiment and back. I keep messing with the bow. That's funny. It's like, stay. Okay, so I am pretty darn happy with that. And again, when you see the coloring all together with the flowers and the fun little whipped cream accent behind, it's absolutely lovely. Kind of a fun tip for coloring in those images to make them look a little bit different than the original. So super fun. We'll pause that for just a minute here. And guess what? We are in the home stretch. I'm going to reset my table real quickly for our last project, and I will be right back. Okay, crafters, are we ready to go again? This last project is really fun. I love 3D projects, and this is what the brand new die that we just released is, and it's the Carrot Treat Box die. Oh my gosh, so much fun. So if you got the Plus kit, you got the Carrot Treat Box die in your kit, and then of course you have one additional bonus kit that is all prepped up so you can create these cute little guys. We're actually going to make 3 carrot treat boxes. I don't think I'll walk you through all 3 of them. I'll just make one, and you can finish the other 2 at your leisure. But you do have enough materials to do 3 little carrots in here, so I love that. So I'm going to go ahead and, ooh, this is a brand new one. Exciting. Grab my die out. So look how fun it is. You can tell it's really pretty simple, but there's a little extra flair that we're going to add to it that I think you will get a kick out of. So I'm opening my kit now. And like I said, I've got 3 panels of our Citrus Cooler cardstock, which is a perfect yummy carroty color. And then we've got 1 panel of our printed paper. And this is from one of our earlier packs, one pack that we released this summer. And it's got the cute little flamingos in the back, which is adorable. But you're going to want to get quite a few different little carrot tops out of this. So I'm going to trim this in just a minute as soon as I cut the main carrot first. So that's what that's for, the little carrot tops. And then of course you have this little bag which has got some little tags we're going to quickly stamp and plenty of twine to decorate the tops of your carrots. But let me go ahead and bring my little Platinum 6 die cutting machine in here. This is our smaller die cutting machine. It has a 6-inch opening right in the front, which is perfect for our carrots. But of course if you have the larger Platinum, that will work perfectly too. And the sandwich is really no different than any other die cutting you're going to do, but you're going to want 1 cutting plate on the bottom, I'm putting the cardstock first because then I want to kind of get this die and make sure it's on the cardstock all the way. There, angle it just a little bit more. Make sure none of the edges are cut off. That's why I'm putting the blade side down, by the way. And we'll run this little guy through. And we will soon have a carrot. Wouldn't that be nice if you could just crank it and your carrot would pop out the other side? I'm going to use that die cutting machine again in just a minute. But here's your main carrot base. So cute. Show you how to fold that. But since we're die cutting, I'm going to go ahead and trim off some of the polka dot paper because I want two little tops for my carrots because I'm just going to layer them up and give them a little green top. So I'm just kind of, if I had a trimmer, I would do it with my trimmer, of course, but I'm just going to cut a strip. You can probably get more carrot tops than you even need out of this paper, but I'm going to have one right there. And I can probably get two out of this piece. So set your rest of your scraps aside. And again, if you want to use, you know, maybe a washi tape or something like that to hold it, you certainly can do that. I don't think it's really going to wiggle very much. But I'll make sure it's in place before I run it through. So again, this time I've got the blade side up so I can position these and make sure that they're going to get die cut all the way. So there's my two papers. Just put my other cutting plate on top, make sure nothing shifts, which of course it shouldn't. This guy over. Okay, so now you can see that we're going to get two cute little polka dot tops off of our die here. There's one. I'll trim it down a little bit. And there is number two. Super cute. Okay, cutting plates, you can go over there. And then our die, I'll just set this aside because I'll make my other two carrots in a little bit. By the way, I don't think I showed you the actual project card for it. But again, the instructions are pretty simple. They're just exactly what I'm doing now. Die cutting, doing a little creasing and folding, and doing the one little stamped image for the tag. So this is a pretty easy one, but super fun. So I want to bring my crease tool back in, and this die cut, of course, has the score lines already on it. Hopefully you can see those. Yep, kind of see those in the video there. So you just want to just copy those score lines as you go along. Kind of start at the top, and even the little carrot top has a little folded score line there. You'll need to fold that gently. So this is the top of our box. Now I'm counting on you guys to give me ideas about what to put in this cute little carrot because it's perfect for holding treats. For sure you could do little mini jelly beans. That would be adorable. But I'm kind of thinking like the Cadbury eggs. What do you guys think? Those are like the best ever. How many of us wait for springtime to come so we can buy Cadbury eggs? Roy, do you do that? Do you buy Cadbury eggs?
No, they disgust me.
Oh, come on! Wait, this is the true test. Does your wife like them? Do your daughters like them?
I don't know that we're necessarily a Cadbury household, but...
I feel like maybe it's a girl thing.
Talk to me about caramel.
Ooh, caramel. You like that? Or the girls do?
They love our caramel eggs.
Yay! Okay, so I have just basically all the little score lines, and it's pretty intuitive how this little guy goes together. There's just the one side flap, so I'm going to add some of our craft glue to that. Again, when I'm gluing paper to paper, I'm telling you, the craft glue is just the best. And I want this box to stay really sturdy. So if I used our white liner or something, it would hold, but I think eventually it would start popping apart. So I want this guy to be really super sturdy. So I'm kind of folding it in and then I'm matching it up with the long side here, which it kind of automatically does. And you can also lay the carrot. Let's see if you can lay it flat so you can press it down a little bit. You're going to have to angle it slightly. The glue is kind of forgiving. You can move your box around just a little bit. That's what I love about it. because it just takes a little bit to set up, so you can kind of, you know, make sure it's all lined up properly. And I put some gentle pressure on it, and that helps get the glue right into the fibers of the paper. That's what's going to stop your box from popping open. So again, gentle, gentle. And then you can kind of start shaping it as it comes together. It's not 100% dry, so we're going to just leave it set there for a little bit. But it is dry enough now to kind of hold together, so that's fun. I can go ahead and trim the tops of my carrots. I am going to more or less go straight across when I'm trimming these. I might round it just a little bit. There's really no right or wrong. You can't go too deep down because you're going to be gluing it on top of the box. So you just kind of want to trim those there. And then to give my box a little bit extra time to dry, I'm going to go ahead and grab my tags. And I'm going to stamp all 3 of my tags. So these tags were created with one of our little punches. So this is our little tag punch. And then of course they're already pre-punched for you. Here's our twine. We've got 3 long pieces of twine, so I'll kind of set that aside and I'll pull that apart in a minute. And the stamped sentiment comes again from your Faithfulness stamp set. And we're using this fun little Happy Easter right here. So it just happens to be the perfect size to fit on this tag, so I love that. I'm going to grab a block. One tip for matching up your stamps with your blocks is if you try to get your stamp to be on the smallest block possible, you're going to get the best stamped image. So although we could probably take a big old block like this and put the sentiment on, you have more of a chance of rocking it if you use a bigger block. Does that make sense? So one tip I have is always try to get your stamp to fit your block as close as possible. Of course, it's not always going to be perfect, but I also can use my grid lines to get that pretty straight on there, straight as possible. And we're just stamping the sentiments with black licorice. Stamp a little test over here. Looking good. So it's a fairly tight fit, but you kind of want to get in there and just make sure you've got it on the little tag there. Again, so once I'm stamping, I might as well do all 3, even though I won't adhere all 3 carrots together right now because you guys have got this. You're going to be carrot experts. All right, fun. So there's our 3 little Happy Easter tags. I feel like our box is getting pretty well set now. You can see the idea of how it goes together. This one small little flap has a small slit in it. And then these guys kind of fold down. You do have the crease there, so when these 2 carrot tops meet together, that's why you have that extra little score in there so they can meet together perfectly. Now you could put your tops on right now, or you can do it after you put the box together, and I think I'm going to do that. And then you just slide your little carrot top through this slit in the top, tuck it right around, and then your one little tab, of course, will fold and be able to close your box. Tucks right in there. Tucks quite tightly and quite nice. Love it. So cute. Kind of straighten up these little tops right here. So isn't that adorable? So much fun. You could just load it up with all kinds of little treats inside. And now again, I'm just going to decorate my little top because I don't think it should be orange, right guys? Add a little bit of glue. Add these guys right to the top. It'll take just a second for them to dry. Your little carrot tops. Of course, you don't want to glue the 2 carrot tops together because you want to be able to open your box, right? But as long as they stay separate, you'll be good. Okay, again, because the white glue is wet, you can just kind of move them and make sure they're all kind of straight and where you want them to be. So super cute. I'm gonna go ahead and fiddle with my string here. So what kind of different treat ideas do you guys have for these boxes? I know that we're not live broadcasting right now, but if you guys do watch the live show on February 15th, this is your second reminder for the live show, February 15th. Again, we're going to be taking comments and doing some fun things, so I want you guys to leave some comments and tell me what you're filling your little Easter carrots with. Okay? Is it a deal? All right. So this long string right here, I can actually cut a little piece off because I'm going to use one piece to tie my tag with, and the other one I'm going to do that famous triple bow again. So I'm just going to go ahead and create my triple bow. I've come around and tuck that guy in for the knot. I think the lemongrass twine is so fun because it just kind of reminds me of the stringy top of a carrot, right? Now this, I think the best way to attach this on, I guess I would recommend, would be a glue dot. Not sure that I have a glue dot here handy right now. Because when you do open the carrot box, you know, this twine is going to start to get in the way. Unless you're just doing them for decoration, and that's totally fine if you're doing them, you know, just as a decorative piece. But otherwise you could do a glue dot, and that would be quite easy to just pluck off the top with a glue dot. Let me go ahead and grab my carrots that I did earlier from my photo. Just kind of bring them in, just so I can show you how cute they all look together. So we've got the little triple bow on top, and then we did use a little piece of the twine to tie the tag on with. And this is just punched with our tiniest hole punch. Let me see if I've got it here. Oh, nope, that was a stapler. So we've got just our little tiny 1/8 inch hole punch, or you could just poke it, you know, with a little pin or whatever, and just slide your twine in there. But that's how they're attached, just sweet and simple. So again, you can pull them off if you need to open the box, or they're probably super cute, just all filled up with, you know, some little basket with maybe a little bit of grass in the bottom. It looks so cute, like you just grew a fun batch of carrots. I love them so much. So, super fun. Let me go ahead and grab the original other 3 card projects. And we can make this cute little display because you should be so proud of yourself for making all these cute projects. And there's the very first one we did. Got to get them all arranged cute. Okay, so fun. Like, what kind of a fun little shot is that? You guys have done such good work today. It's been so fun doing these make and takes with you. I hope you love your projects as much as I have loved sharing them with you. And I also hope you learned a few tips and tricks along the way. That's always fun. Learn something new, try something new. So much fun. Thank you so much for joining me today for the make and take. This video is of course going to be available for you for as long as you would like. So gather your friends and grab your crafting buddies, even if it's after our live show, maybe it's a few weeks later down the road. Like I said, Easter falls kind of late in the year this year, so you have plenty of time to do some crafting. So I certainly hope you do that, because what's better than crafting with friends? Not much, I tell you. Again, if you have any questions about anything, you can of course visit us at funstampersjourney.com. That's where you'll find this video, plus tons of other information and fun videos and a fantastic gallery and links to our blog posts. Oh my gosh, so many fun things. We hope we see you visit there often. And again, have a great weekend and have fun enjoying bringing paper to life.